what was your name again?
Cloud Strife.
Welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about Final Fantasy VII and how you can add mods to not only add voices to all the characters, but also add HD texture packs, HD cutscenes, and enable cheats. Final Fantasy VII originally came out on the PlayStation 1 and later was re-released on Steam. You can download this onto your home arcade or PC, and you can have access to all these modern features that make Final Fantasy VII simply amazing to play in 2023. A massive shout out to the Tsunamods team, who's responsible for the 7th Heaven mods, as well as the Echo-S mod, which adds all the voice work to all the characters, which really elevates all of the emotional scenes in the Final Fantasy VII game. So I'm going to show you some gameplay so you can see all these awesome features in action. I'm also going to tell you how to download and install everything, as well as my favorite mods and how to get them all active. And as a bonus, I'll even show you the Final Fantasy VII strategy guides on my arcade. So if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, sit back and enjoy. So you have to purchase Final Fantasy VII first through Steam, and then of course add all the mods and implement them. I'll show you how to do all that later in this video, but right now we'll go into our purchased copy of Steam with all the mods active, and I'll show you all the differences. Right from the start, we get this new opening credits video where it showcases all the voice actors for the individual characters. Very cool. So while some of the mods I definitely strongly recommend you utilize, such as the Echo-S 7 mod with all the voice work, plus the HD textures upgrade and the HD cutscene upgrade, there are some that are definitely optional, such as your different character models or character portraits. You can choose whatever one you like the best. Same with the music. You can do the classic music, the new Final Fantasy Remake music, or there's an arranged music soundtrack that's tailored towards the Echo-S 7 mod, so it's up to you which music soundtrack you prefer. And like I said, later in this video, I'll go over all this, so that way you know what mods do what, which you definitely should check, and which are optional for you to check if you want. One of the cool mod features is you can change the original aspect ratio from 4:3 to widescreen 16:9. It looks amazing. And I'm also going to do some picture-in-picture so you can see some of the old school graphics with the new HD textures. There are a couple different character models that you can choose from. You can do the Nino-style HD character models, which I have here, or you can do the Nino-style chibi ones. There's some voice work coming up here too. Barrett's the first one to speak some lines.
Get down here, Merc. You're up.
I think that Nino-style HD character model for Cloud looks simply amazing. So we're going to get into a random battle here, and you're going to get to see how awesome the battle textures look here. They look super crisp and sharp, look amazing. If you're not familiar with Final Fantasy VII's battle system, it's an active time battle system, so it's turn-based, but that time bar fills up, and once that fills up, then you're able to utilize your attack. You can have up to 3 people in your party, and each of them have their own ATB gauge. After you win your battle, you get your rewards and your XP, and if you level up, your characters get stronger. We get introduced to a couple more characters here, Biggs and Jesse, and we get to hear their voice work as well.
Unbelievable. You soldier guys sure are something. Hard to believe we got a guy like you in a group like Avalanche.
So, what's Soldier Boy's deal? Is he one of us now? Thought they were the enemy.
He isn't Soldier anymore, Jesse. Besides, he's a professional, unlike the rest of us. What was your name again?
Cloud Strife.
Cloud Strife, eh? I'm
Not interested. Once this job's over, I'm out of here.
What did I just say? Told you to never move as a group. Our target's Mako Reactor 1. We'll rendezvous at the bridge in front of it. You better be worth the money, Merc. Every last gear.
Run by holding cancel while using the direction buttons.
They really knocked it out of the park with the soundtrack in Final Fantasy VII. The original was awesome, the remake was awesome, and also the arranged is really good. However, I would get a copyright strike on some of these soundtracks, so I did have to overlay the music here, so it won't sound exactly like it will in the final. Trust me, it'll sound even better. There are a lot of cheats that you can enable via these mods as well. You can speed up the battles up to 12 times speed. You can turn off random battles altogether if you want, skip cutscenes, or else auto attack. I definitely recommend not utilizing the cheats if this is your first time playing Final Fantasy VII. However, if you've beaten this game multiple times before and you just want to experience all of the new stuff, like the HD textures, the HD cutscenes, and of course all of the awesome voice work, well then go ahead and utilize the cheats and make the game even more fun for you. One of the mods allows your characters to actually speak now during your battles, so when they're unleashing their attacks, or getting hit by the enemy, or maybe unleashing an awesome limit break, they'll actually talk and say things, and it's really cool because that wasn't in the original game. Another mod actually adds sound to the footsteps as you run through the environment. This wasn't in the original game either, and you can't really hear it here because I had to add the extra music over top, but it is really cool and immersive.
Don't worry, I'm staying here to secure the escape route. Jeez, we're really gonna blow this huge reactor? That'll be awesome. That's for sure.
There we finally get to hear Wedge's voice, a really good interpretation of that character. Update the portraits along with the frames on these victory screens. Very cool. There are different attack formations that you can start off a battle in. Like right here, we're in a preemptive attack, so the enemy is to our back. So basically, it's like we snuck up on them and we get a free hit on them. Of course, there are back attacks where you're getting attacked from behind and the enemy snuck up on you, as well as ambush attacks where you're in the middle and there's enemies on both sides of you. That's definitely a troublesome situation, and you'll need some strategy to get out of that one. Here's some more voice dialogue from some of the characters from the Echo-S mod.
So, Soldier Boy, this your first time in a reactor?
Did you forget? I did work for Shinra, remember?
Oh, I remember. I know full well that you've been Shinra's lapdog. Bet you guys just eat up everything they tell you, huh? Like what Mako is. Well, let me tell you what they won't. Mako's not just some energy source. It's the lifeblood of the planet. And Shinra's using all this crap to suck it dry.
You're not paying me to listen, so save it.
You right. Looks like we gotta keep Lapdog on a tight leash.
Just think how many sacrifice themselves for these codes.
I love the pre-rendered backgrounds in this game, but in the original Final Fantasy, your character running around definitely stood out from the background quite a bit because your character's proportions are off and it looked a little bit more cartoony while the background looked more detailed, whereas here everything looks HD, gritty, and seamless.
push that button for me, will ya?
Here I'm showing another picture-in-picture so you can see the original graphics on the right with the different character models.
This reactor's sole purpose is to drain the planet dry, and one day, it'll all be gone. The hell do you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Can you really live with that?
I can and I will. I'd worry less about the planet and more about what's waiting for us down there.
You could always tell when Barrett was angry in the original game when he would shake his gun hand like that, but now you can definitely feel it in his voice. Love the character voices, love the immersion of the elevator looking so amazing and these detailed backgrounds. It's such a modern take on a legendary classic. It's just so amazing to me that this was done by fans of the original game. So awesome. Props out to the Tsunamods team and everybody that was involved with this.
Press confirm in front of the ladder to grab onto. Then move up or down.
I'll wait here. Try not to miss me too much, okay? What are you waiting for? Go on already. I'll wait here. What are you waiting for?
So here we have a back attack scenario where we got snuck up from behind by the enemy, so they're going to get free attacks on us. You'll also notice that Barrett joined our party during that elevator scene, so now we have 2 party members, and they each have their own ATB gauge and different attacks, as well as unique limit breaks. The limit break meter fills up as your enemies damage you. Once it's all the way full, you can unleash a unique attack that does massive damage on your enemies. There are 4 levels to the limit breaks. The first 3 levels each have 2 unique limit breaks that you can either unlock by using the limit break so many times or defeating so many enemies. The level 4 limit break, which is the character's most powerful limit break, has specific conditions per character how to unlock it. I love these little touches in the pre-rendered background, like that steam pouring out. Really cool. At the bottom of this ladder is the save point. We'll save there, and then we'll encounter our first boss of the game, and we'll see how that looks. Once you're on the save point, you can go into your menu, and then you can scroll down to the save option. Once you're in the save option, there's 10 different locations that you can save your game. So there's a mechanical enemy in this battle, so I'm going to utilize one of my spells because mechanical enemy's weakness is thunder and lightning, so I'm going to utilize my thunder spell, and we're going to see how much damage we can do. Here you can hear an example of that mod that I told you about, where your character will actually say something before they unleash an attack.
Make it easy on yourself and give up now.
So the thunder spell did its job, and we also got to see some HD particle effects, which is another mod. So Cloud's limit break meter is full, and I can utilize his limit break now if I want to, but I'm going to actually purposely not use it and save it for the upcoming boss fight instead.
Storm's coming.
And you have to love the Final Fantasy victory music and victory celebration.
When we blow this place, there ain't gonna be nothing left but a pile of rubble. Alright, lapdog. Why don't you set up the bomb?
Shouldn't you do this? I'll watch the rear.
As far as I'm concerned, you're the one that needs watching. So go on, do the honors.
Fine.
Wake up. This isn't just a reactor.
I said, what is it? Something wrong?
I'm fine.
coasters!
It's finally time to unleash the Braver Limit Break on the boss. Some limit breaks deal damage to your enemies, while other limit breaks will heal your party. Again, this is a mechanical enemy, so I'm going to utilize Thunder as part of my strategy.
Lightning!
You want to keep an eye on your HP? I'm going to have Barret heal Cloud here.
Ain't no thing.
So the boss is going to go into a defensive position, which means you don't want to attack it. If you attack the boss, he'll unleash massive damage on you, so it's best to heal up here.
Barret, be careful! Don't attack when its tail is up. It will counterattack with its laser. Just do what you can.
I really like the added voices to these conversations during the middle of these boss battles. It's a really nice touch. Since the boss is still in his defensive state, I'm going to utilize my defensive state as well. So now that the boss is finally coming out of his defensive stance, I can finally unleash my thunder spells and my best attacks.
Get fried. What may.
That attack right there filled up Barret's limit break meter, so now Barret can unleash his limit break.
Come what may.
We just took down the boss before Barret can unleash his limit break. Good thing is the meter stays full and he can utilize it in the next battle if he wants. So Cloud leveled up to level 8, and Barret received a new weapon that he can equip.
The alarm. Come on, we gotta move.
5 minutes to detonation.
So 5 minutes before the Mako reactor blows up, I'm going to quick equip Barret's weapon that he got from the boss fight, and then we're going to try to make it out of here before it blows up. Let's save it quick, just in case we don't make it out alive. Then we can come back here from the save point and try again. Otherwise, we'd have to go before the boss fight when we last saved it. Five minutes seems like a lot, but the timer keeps ticking down, even if you get in a random battle. So you have to decide, do you want to try to get the XP and defeat the enemies, or do you want to just try to flee them and keep going? So you definitely want to take the time to go save Jesse here, so you don't have to come back and do it later, because it'll take even more time, and time is a premium.
You alright?
My leg's stuck. Help a girl out, would ya? Whew. My hero.
So we need to backtrack out the same way we came in. We needed to save Jessie because she has one of the codes to help us get out of here. So we have 3 enemies in this battle. I definitely want to utilize Barret's big shot here to take one of them out as quick as I can.
I'm coming for you.
Since time's still ticking down, you want to use your best attacks here and make sure that Barret has his new weapon equipped that he got from the boss. If In the original version of the game, you have 10 minutes to escape through reactor, so you can farm some XP in these battles, but on this version, 5 minutes isn't a lot, so you gotta make them quick. It looks like some more mechanical enemies, so I'm going to utilize the Thunder spell on these as well.
Yeah, was okay.
So we're almost out of the Mako reactor. If you do run out of time, it'll actually show the Mako reactor explode with you in it. So you definitely want to make it out of here before it explodes.
Okay, eyes open, boys.
Another new optional mod that you can turn on or off if you want is the day-night cycle. I currently have it turned on, so you're going to notice when we leave the Mako reactor, it's going to be nighttime, so everything's going to look a little darker than it would in the original game, and that's something that's totally optional, like I said. You can turn it on or off, it's up to you. I'll show you how to do that later on.
Whew. That should keep the planet going. At least a little longer.
Yeah! The planet's what matters. This had to have helped.
Can't wait to see Marlene.
And she's good to go. Now stand clear. Fire in the hole!
My house is on fire!
All right, let's get our asses home. We'll rendezvous on the train. Split up and make your way to Sector 8 station.
Hey, wait!
If it's about your money, you can have it once we're back at base.
So there is actual swearing in this game, like you heard right there, unlike the original where they edited it out. And all of these scenes right here are nighttime because, like I said, I have that day-night cycle on, and it just happens to be on the night cycle. And before I wrap up the gameplay portion of this video, I want to showcase another character's voice, as well as the NPC voices.
Excuse me? Has something happened?
Don't worry about it. Hey, it's dangerous. You should leave. Don't worry. No, never mind. Flowers, huh?
Oh, these? You like them? They're only a gill each.
I'm good. Sure, why not?
Oh, thank you, kind sir. Here, this is for you.
So there are dialogue choices like that throughout the game, where your choices do matter and factor into certain things later on in the game.
What the hell just happened?
What's that on the wall? Let's see. Don't be fooled by Shinra. Mako energy won't last forever.
Mako is the life of the planet, and someday it'll all come to an end. Saviors of the planet, Avalanche.
It's a nice touch by the Echo-S team to voice the NPC characters too.
Hey, you!
Shinra military police, eh? They're not worth it.
Halt!
They're not worth it. take them out. They're not worth it.
So I'm going to wrap up the gameplay portion of this video with the dare and escape, and then I'm going to tell you more about the mods, how to install them, and what my favorite mods are. So stay tuned.
That's as far as you go.
Sorry, but I don't have time to mess around with you guys.
That's enough of your lip. Seize it.
Download and install Final Fantasy VII for Steam, the Tsunamods 7th Heaven, and the Tsunamods Echo-S 7 mod. I want to give a big shout out to BLTZZ's YouTube channel. I used that to figure out how to install this in the first place. I'll put all the important links in the description down below, but you can always pause this video as well. You need to first download the most recent version of the FFNx, which at the time of this recording is on version 1.14. Just download it to your D drive or whatever drive you want. Once it's finished downloading, you can go to the location where it is, right-click on the file, and then you can extract to the FFNx folder. Once that's finished extracting, locate your folder where all your files are from your Final Fantasy VII Steam version. Mine is under my R folder, my PC games, Steam library, Steam apps, common, Final Fantasy VII. So you'll have all your Steam files in the folder on your left, and then the folder on your right is all of your FFNx files. You want to copy those into your Steam folder and then replace all the files in this destination. So now your Steam folder with Final Fantasy VII will have all the proper files to make Final Fantasy VII work through Steam, but you'll also have the FFNx files that'll help make it play nice with the Tsunamods. Next up, we want to go to the Tsunamods official website. I'll put that link in the description below as well. And you can download the 7th Heaven app, which you can click on here. We do not actually want to download the Echo-S here. We'll do that within the 7th Heaven application. And for now, you can just download this exe file directly to your D drive or wherever you want. Once it's finished downloading, you can locate the file. Double-click on the exe file, and now this will install 7th Heaven onto your PC. There'll be a pop-up window that you'll want to follow the prompts. I'm not actually going to follow the prompts in this video because I already have 7th Heaven installed, but you'll just want to click Next, do what it says. My 7th Heaven application is located on the C drive under the Users folder. I also made a desktop shortcut so that way I have easy access to it anytime I want to go directly into it. You would also want to utilize this path to 7th Heaven if you want to open this application before you go into the Steam version of Final Fantasy VII, if you want to link it into Hyperspin or Big Box. Next, we want to make sure 7th Heaven can find our path to Final Fantasy VII from Steam. So go into Steam, click on your Final Fantasy VII, open up the little launch window, and click play. This will launch your original copy of Final Fantasy VII that you purchased through Steam. This is the original version of Final Fantasy VII with no bells and whistles, no mods yet. It's just showing that the game works, and now 7th Heaven knows how to find it. The retail price for Final Fantasy VII Steam version at the time of this recording was $11.99, which is definitely a fantastic deal. But if you want to get it for an even better deal, Square Enix typically has sales throughout the year where you can get it for as little as $5.99. Okay, now that you're in Final Fantasy VII, you can quit out by hitting Alt-Tab. That'll bring up all your different windows that you have open, and just click on the little red X in the corner. That'll close out Final Fantasy VII, and now we can go into 7th Heaven. I already have 7th Heaven open, so I'm going to maximize it to fill my whole screen. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just want to make the text a little bit bigger. So the first thing that we want to do inside the 7th Heaven program is in the upper left-hand corner, there's a Settings tab. You want to click on that and go down to General Settings. A new window will pop up, and you want to make sure that your paths are set correctly. So your Final Fantasy VII executable, you want to make sure it's exactly where it should be. Mine is under the R drive, PC games, Steam library, Steam apps, common, Final Fantasy VII, FF7.exe. If you can't find it, you can always click on this little folder over here. Next up, you want to make sure that your library has the correct path. Mine is under the R drive, PC games, Steam library, Steam apps, common, Final Fantasy VII, mods, 7th Heaven. And if your path doesn't show up, you can always click on this folder and locate it yourself. Next up, you want to make sure that your options are set up exactly how I have them on screen here. These are the most reliable ones that I found, so I'm going to stick with these. If you want to venture off, you can do so at your own risk, but these are what I recommend. So I have these set up as on, off, on. Next up, we have the shell integration. Those are set as on, and off. Next up, we have a very important one, channel management. We want both 7th Heaven and FFNx both set from stable to canary. So you're going to probably have to change this on yours. You're going to get a little warning that pops up just to say that this is an unstable build and that they're still testing it. That's okay. This still works pretty well, and we want to hit OK. You also want to check for updates to make sure you have the most recent version of both 7th Heaven and FFNx. Right here, it looks like there's a new version of FFNx, so I'm going to hit OK to download the new version. You'll see it download down here in the progress bar, and you may have to restart the program. If both 7th Heaven and FFNx are set to Canary and both are updated, you're ready to move on to the final thing on this tab, which is additional folders to monitor. Just make sure all these items are in this list here. If you're missing any, click on this plus sign, locate it, and add it here. If everything looks like it should, click the save button and you're ready to move on to the next setting. Go back up to the settings tab and this time go down to Game Driver. Select Game Driver and this will open up a new pop-up window. Then you want to go under the Graphics tab and select your Graphics API. I'm using an Arcade 1 PC which uses a NVIDIA card, so I'm going to select the DirectX 12. But you can select whichever one's appropriate for your machine. The same goes for the resolution. Select what's appropriate for your machine. I'm going to select 1920 by 1080 for mine. Next up is the window mode. You can choose whichever you prefer. I prefer either borderless or full screen. Let's go with borderless for now. And then the aspect ratio, you can use the native 4:3 or the widescreen 16:9. I definitely prefer the widescreen 16:9. The graphics look amazing. The anti-aliasing, you can definitely use whatever your machine's capable of. So I'm going to go with the 16X, but if you want to lower that, that's fine too. The anisotropic filtering I have on, the vertical sync off, and the advanced lighting off. But you can play with those as well if you want. Next up, you can go to the cheats tab. Here you can see all the different cheats that you can activate and turn on and off if you want. You have the random battles, the auto attack, the skip movies, the soft reset, the speed hack stepping, and the speed hack max. Some of these have drop-down menus that you can adjust the different settings. For example, here you can go 8x if you'd like. Others you have to actually input on your keyboard or your controller that you're playing the game with. So those are down below here. For example, to toggle on and off random battles, you can use Control B on your keyboard, or you can use your left thumbstick on your controller and then press circle. Each of the commands are a little different, so make note of them before you go into the game. That way you know how to access each of the different cheats. And finally, you can select the Advanced tab at the top. There are a couple options that are important here. The music option, you definitely want to select the VGM stream at the top. And then for the movie option, you actually want to go to auto detect, which is recommended, but you can play around with some of these if you'd like, but these are my recommendations. The rest of these options can all be set to off, except for I would strongly recommend turning the Steam compatibility option to on. That way all of your achievements that you unlock during the game will show up in Steam for you. So definitely select on for that one, but the rest of them can be set to off. For the last option, the internal resolution scaler, I just select auto for that one. You can adjust this if you do want to play around with it, but I just go with auto to start. Now that all those are selected, hit save, and you're ready to download the mods and install them. So you won't have any mods under your My Mods tab just yet, so you need to go to the Browse Catalog tab, and this is where you're going to find all the different mods available to you that you can download and install into your Steam version of Final Fantasy VII. Again, a big shout out to BLTZZ. His YouTube video was a big help on my initial install of all the Tsunamods. So the first thing to do here is to sort by name. You might have to click it a couple times. The top one that you want to have on your list is Retexture HD Battle Scenes. If that's the top one on your list, then you're ready to start double clicking on these and downloading all these mods. We're going to start with the first one here. Double click on the Tsunamods Avalanche Arisen Battle Scenes. If you look in the lower left hand corner, you can see what the battle scenes used to look like on the vanilla and then what they look like in the awesome HD textures. Looks amazing. Next, download the Tsunamods Cosmo Memory. This is a complete sound overhaul, adds ambient noises and footsteps. Really cool mod. And here's where we can download the Tsunamods Echo-S mod. This is what has all the voice work, which you could have downloaded from the Tsunamods website, but it's much easier in my opinion to download it right here. Just be aware that some of these downloads are large downloads, so they will take a little bit of time to download and will take up space. The Echo-S mod is 3.2 gigabytes, and overall, all the mods that I'm going to show you, along with Final Fantasy VII, the Steam version of the game, should take up around 35 gigabytes total, so make sure you have the appropriate space. Next, you can jump down a few to the Tsunamods SYW V5 battle textures. This upscales all the battle textures, and they look really nice and sharp. The next one up is the Tsunamods SYW V5 field textures. This upscales all the field textures, and they also look nice and sharp. The next one up is the Tsunamods SYW V5 menu fonts and textures. This makes all the menu fonts and textures look real nice and crisp and HD. Definitely you want to add that one. Next up, download the Tsunamods SYW V5 minigame textures. You want to have those HD textures as well. And then you also want the Tsunamods SYW V5 spell textures. You might as well get those looking nice and crisp too. And then another great one to download is the Tsunamods SYW V5 world textures. That way those overworld maps look amazing. Then you want to go down a couple and download the Tsunamods SYW V6 60 FPS upscaled FMV. This upscales all of the FMV movies to 60 frames per second and makes them look HD, looks amazing. And then you're going to have to scroll down a little ways and find the 60-30 FPS gameplay. This makes the gameplay at either 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second, depending on which option you select. For the next few mods, you want to scroll quite a ways down and you want to find the Nino-style battle models. I love the look of these Nino-style battle styles. They look absolutely amazing, and they look like the official artwork from the original Final Fantasy VII from PlayStation 1. Looks great. You can also download the Nino-style chibi field models if you prefer this style of artwork instead of the HD Nino-style battle models. You'll also want to download the Nino-style HD field models. That way you'll get these awesome models when you're in the field as well. And then for our last mod to download, you want to scroll down almost all the way to the bottom to our Victoriously avatars. You get these awesome HD portraits, and then you can also adjust the frames if you want as well. And I'll show you how to do all of that. Once all your downloads are done, you can go to My Mods. These should be all the mods that we just downloaded in the exact same order. So the first one should be 60-30 FPS gameplay. Then Tsunamods Cosmo Memory, Nino-style HD, Nino-style Battle, Nino-style Chibi, Tsunamods Echo-S, Victoriously Avatar Pack, Tsunamods SYW V6 FMV 60 FPS, Tsunamods Avalanche Arisen Battle Textures, Tsunamods SYW V5 Battle Textures, Tsunamods SYW V5 Spell Textures, Tsunamods SYW V5 World Map Textures, Tsunamods SYW V5 Minigame Textures, Tsunamods SYW V5 Menu and Fonts, and finally Tsunamods SYW V5 Field Textures. As long as those are all in that order, you should be good to go. There are additional mods under the Browse catalog that you can experiment and you might find interesting. However, you may have to turn off some of the mods that I recommend, so you'll have to experiment with that on your own time. Now we're going to click into each one of these mods, and I'm going to tell you the exact settings that I would recommend. Recommended mod settings for Final Fantasy VII, the Steam version. First, click into the 60/30 FPS gameplay. You can experiment with this, but I prefer the full 60 frames per second. The advanced field animations, I prefer the Nino-style HD animations, but you can change these as well if you want. And then for the field models, I'm going to keep this off because it's already set to the 60 frames per second. But again, you can experiment with these, see what works best for your rig, and then save once you're done with it. Next up is the Tsunamods Cosmo Memory, and you want the Center Battle SFX on. And then for the menu sounds, you can do the remake sounds if you want, the vanilla sounds, or I'm going to do the updated vanilla sounds, but you can put whatever you want for that. In my opinion, you definitely want to do the voice attacks. You also want to do the field ambience and have that set to on. That way you can hear your footsteps as you walk around. I would also recommend turning on the battle ambience. That adds ambient sounds in the background for every battle. For the movie sounds, it's currently off, but I think I'm going to turn it on because it sounds like it replaces some of the sound in the video cutscenes and it rearranges the music, so I think that sounds pretty cool. We're going to turn it on and give it a shot. Next up, we want to turn on the field footsteps. This adds sound effects when you're running over different terrains such as grass or rock. Definitely a cool addition. And then finally, the world map footsteps. We also want to turn this on. This does require you having the field footsteps turned on also, so turn those all on and hit save. So you can go to the next mod down, which is the Nino-style HD mod, and this one is the character models that I prefer. So I just go through each of these characters, and I prefer to have the dynamic weapon on, so that way if Cloud gets a new sword, it'll change on his back. But if you always want to have the Buster Sword equipped, you can just select it so that that's always equipped. I think there are only 3 characters that you can actually change the dynamic weapons on, which is Cloud, Aerith, and Sid. But you can double check all of these, just make sure that the Nino style is equipped for all of them. And once you're through going through all the different characters, make sure you have the settings exactly how you want them. Then you can actually go down to the rest of these down here, the NPCs, the HD world models, the mini games, the vehicles. These are basically if you just want to change some of the character models. So you can click on these different ones, you can see what the character models would look like in the game. So I prefer the PRP version for all the different character models, but feel free to go through the little drop-down menu, look at all the different options. Some characters like Jesse here have a lot more different options that you can go through, see which one you like the best. Again, I'm going to stick with the PRP for now. The HD world models are the different characters that you are on the overhead world map at different times in the game, so you want to make sure that those are on as well if you want them to look in all nice and HD. Same for the minigame, just make sure that's on, that way the bike's going to look nice in HD. And then the different vehicles, you can actually change some of these models just like you could for some of the different characters for the NPCs. Pick whichever ones you like. I like to just keep the Nino style, the original colors, just go through all these and make sure they're selected on the Nino style. And once you have everything set the way that you want it, go ahead and click on the save button, and then you can move on to the next mod, which is the Nino style battle. And this is just to make sure that all your characters look awesome HD in the battle menus. So just make sure that they're all set to the Nino of each character. So this mod at the very bottom changes all of the weapons for Cloud to the Buster Sword. So that's up to you if you want that on. I have it off. The second last one, the Other, that just changes some of the Turks and some of the bosses to the Nino style as well. Keep that on Nino Other. And the third last mod, which is Jesse's mod, only change this if you're actually using Jesse's mod from Grimmy, which we are not, so I'm going to keep that as no change. And then we're going to save it and move on to the next mod, which is Nino Style Chibi. So you have to make a choice if you're going to use the Nino Style HD character models or the Nino Style Chibi. If you're using the Nino Style Chibi, make sure this is turned on, this first one. But I'm going to turn it to off because I'm using the Nino Style HD models. Next up, Lazaro's upgrades. Several fixes and upgrades including blinking head and blinking eyes. I don't know what that means, I just have it on so that way it's fixed. The next one, Ifrit's Little Work. A few slight recolors and Buster Sword on Cloud's back. I don't know what that means either. It was set to off, so I'm going to leave it off. Next up is Tifa's remake outfit. If you want her to have the remake outfit, turn it on. I'm going to keep it off to keep the classic. And if you're actually utilizing the Nino Style Chibi options, you can select the dynamic weapons, the different buggies, chocobos, and modes of transportation here, just like you would in the Nino Style HD. Hit save, and you can move on to the next one. Or you can easily select everything on and off with those switches if you want. Next up is a very important mod. It's the Tsunamods Echo-S. This is the mod that adds all the voice work into the game, which is one of the reasons why we're here. So make sure this is selected to on. There's also a brand new day-night cycle that you can toggle on and off. If you watched the video earlier on, you saw the night cycle. I'm going to keep that on since that's a new feature. The next one is music. This is a specially arranged soundtrack that they have for the Echo-S mod where it links up the voices with the sound. So I'm going to keep that on. Why not? This next one for battle lines is how often your characters will actually yell out their different spells or their limit breaks. This is a new feature in the game, so I like to hear it, so I put it all the way to 100%, but if you think it's annoying, you can turn it off or reduce it down to 25%, but I definitely recommend doing 100%. The next one, Battle Grunts, adds little grunts to your characters as they do melee attacks. It adds some realism, so I'm going to keep that one on as well. The next one is Auto Text Advanced. This one's definitely personal preference. Do you like your text and your dialogue to keep flowing by itself, or do you like to manually press a button once they're done talking their line, you press a button when you want them to advance to the next line? I prefer to keep this option on, as I feel it makes it a little bit more cinematic. And the last option is the ESUI theme. I don't know what this is, it's defaulted to yes, so I'm going to keep it that way. We're going to save it, and we're going to move on to the next one, which is the Victoriously Avatar Pack. So with this mod, you have these awesome HD avatar packs that show up in your menus for each of the characters, and you can select how they'll look. Do you want them to be transparent so you see the background color behind it, or do you actually want a frame around it? You have this thin frame, which I think is awesome. This is the one that I prefer. Or you have a thinnest frame, which is even smaller, which is still pretty cool. So you can decide which frame you like the best, or if you like it transparent with no frame. And then, like I said, you just want to select that frame for all of them, and then that way they'll be consistent in all of your menus. And I think it looks really nice and sharp. So we're going to go through all of them, get them all the way that we want them, and then we can go ahead and hit the save button and move on to the next mod, which is the Tsunamods SYW V6 FMV 60 frames per second. And this one's very simple. You just want to go in there and make sure it's turned on. If it's turned on, you can go ahead and hit the save button and move on to the next mod, which is the Tsunamods Avalanche Arisen Battle Textures. Again, same thing here. You just want to go in here, make sure the Avalanche Arisen is selected on, and you're good to go. You upgrade the battle textures, which will look nice and crispy on the right side, a little blurry on the left. So if you like how that looks, go ahead and hit save and move on to the next one. The next one's the same, the Tsunamods SYW V5 Battle Textures. Go in there, make sure it's turned on, and then you're good to save it and move on to the next one. Next up, you want to go to the Tsunamods SYW V5 spell textures. You want to make sure this is turned on so you have those awesome HD crispy spells. Then go over and hit the save button, and then you'll move on to the Tsunamods SYW V5 world map textures. You want to make sure this is turned on as well, and then you'll have those beautiful HD textures for your overworld map as well. Hit save and move on to the Tsunamods SYW V5 minigame textures. This mod is going to make all of your minigame textures HD, so you want to make sure that this is turned on, hit the save button, and then you go to the Tsunamods SYW V5 menu and fonts, and then in here, you're going to want to make sure you have the HD fonts and icons turned on, so that way all your text is nice and crisp. And then you can go to your HD avatars, make sure those are turned on so they look all crispy. You got the HD credit scene to look awesome in HD, make sure that's turned on. You do have a few language options. I'm going to go with English. The HD Buster Sword is your main menu screen. You want that on. And then you also have the HD Game Over screen, which you obviously want on as well. Save everything once you're ready, and then you can move on to the very last mod, which is the Tsunamods SYW V5 field textures. You want to make sure that this first one's turned on so you have all the HD field textures. And then the last one is the advanced texture animations for the animated fields. There are a few different options in here depending on how powerful your PC is that's running the Final Fantasy VII Steam version. I'd probably go with the recommended 99% animated fields, but I'm going to go with the full power because I've had pretty good luck with it. So you can experiment with this one, use whatever one works the best for you. And then once you're ready to go, you hit the save button and you're good to go. So all of these mods will automatically activate based on your settings that you set if you hit the play button right here in the 7th Heaven application. And if you would ever like to go back to the original version of Final Fantasy VII, just open up the Steam application and then hit the green play button. That'll fire up the classic version of Final Fantasy VII without any of the mods. But if you want the mods, you have to be in 7th Heaven and you hit the play button. Just make sure you have everything updated, all the mods set the way that you want them, and then make sure that you have the achievements turned on. You'll probably need to make sure you have Steam open as well, and then the game will load through Steam with all your mods. It'll fire up in the game, you'll have a brand new opening to the game, and you'll be able to enjoy Final Fantasy VII in a whole new way with all these awesome, amazing mods. There are a few little minor issues that can pop up, such as error messages the first time that you try to click into the game. If you get any of those, such as change the disc, just go ahead and click through them. I had to click through 3 different change the discs, and then it still wouldn't let me access the game, so I had to actually quit out of the game, reload, and try again. If you are still having issues, you can always restart your computer and then go back into it and it should work. You can always update in 7th Heaven and then quit out and go back into 7th Heaven to make sure everything's saved before you actually enter the Final Fantasy VII game. I'll put this information along with the link to the Discord channel in the description below. That way if there are any bugs or fixes that you want to look for, you can always search that out as well. Digital strategy guides for the Brady games and the Versus books. If you have a home arcade, you can add these digital strategy guides to the magazine section. I'm going to actually flip through both of these strategy guides real quickly just so you can see what they look like. Please note though, there are definitely spoilers, so only watch this section if you're okay with spoilers or if you've already completed Final Fantasy VII. There are different ways to navigate the pages. I prefer to have a left and right, just like you would if you had the strategy guide laying in front of you. You can also zoom in on pages if you'd like with a particular button, and then you can see what all the details are, read them up close, see the different images, and find out about these limit breaks for Tifa, for example. When you're zoomed in, you can navigate the pages up and down, left and right, and read everything that you want to read, see everything that you want to see, and then you can zoom in even further if you want to get even more details, or you can zoom all the way out back to the normal orientation. The beginning of this strategy guide focuses on the characters, their limit breaks, and their backstory. And then you get to the walkthrough portion of the guide where they show these screenshots which show the areas where items are located. It also highlights the enemies that you're going to encounter, gives you tips and strategies for the bosses, so it's definitely worth checking this out. So while this strategy guide and the Versus book strategy guide were created for the original Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation 1, it still definitely works just fine with the Steam version, even with the Tsunamods and all the 7th Heaven mods and the voice mods and everything, because we're just adding bells and whistles. We're not changing any layouts. This isn't like the Final Fantasy VII Remake where everything's definitely different. So since this is the exact same game as the PlayStation 1 game, the PlayStation 1 strategy guides will work just fine. There are a lot of fun little notes and tips noted throughout the strategy guide with these colored circles. They tell you how to find some of the secret characters, the different summons, or give you really cool strategies. So definitely check those out. So the digital strategy guide is actually just scans that somebody did with their own strategy guide. So there are a few little mix-ups, such as no page 130 and then a duplicate of page 133. But overall, it's just awesome having it on your home arcade as part of the museum of video games that just showcases some of the artwork that was available at the time that you can't go in a store and actually buy this guide anymore. So we're getting towards the end of the walkthrough, which is the end of the game, culminating in the final confrontation against Sephiroth. So there's different strategies that you can utilize. The next section is the side areas, which showcases all the different side quests that you can do, the different materia you can gather, the secret characters, the ultimate materia, all the different chocobo races and everything. So it's definitely worth going in depth in this section. And then you get into the bestiary, which showcases all the different enemy types, their weaknesses, their strengths, and how to take them down. And then you get into the specialized weapons section, the armor, the accessories, the items, the materia. It goes through all of those different ones and how to get them. And then you get the awesome world map. This is a 2-page spread. It looks amazing. And then we finally get to the end of the guide. That's the Brady Games Strategy Guide. Now we'll move on to the Final Fantasy Ultimate Guide from Versus Books. This will cover all of the same things as the Brady Games Guide, but in a different way. There's different illustrations, like this world map looks amazing here, and the walkthroughs are definitely laid out different as well. And in my opinion, it's worth checking out both of these strategy guides. If for nothing else, just to flip through, check out all the awesome screenshots and artwork, and bring back those memories and nostalgia from the 1990s and the PlayStation 1 era. This guide also has an awesome walkthrough where it showcases all the different screenshots, the maps, the different enemy types that you'll encounter, the boss fight strategies, and there's actually a lot of cool little illustrations that are special for this guide that are worth checking out as a fan. So while the Brady Games Guide did have a few missing pages and duplicate pages in there, the Ultimate Games Guide seems like it has everything. So if you're actually going to utilize this as a walkthrough, you may want to reference this one even more. Just be aware, depending on where you find these strategy guides, you want to make sure that you can get the highest resolution that you can. That way, if you do plan on using this as an actual strategy guide and walkthrough, you can zoom in on it and actually read some of the text and see what's in the images. So we're nearing the end of the walkthrough for the Ultimate Guide, which obviously culminates in the Sephiroth boss battle, but then we get into the chocobo breeding, which is a very complicated thing. Definitely want to check this section out. It tells the tips on how to beat the ultimate weapons, the Emerald and Ruby, all the different mini games and the Golden Saucer. So you definitely want to bookmark this section. It's very helpful. Then it goes into all the different characters, shows all their limit breaks, where they're from, and all their different weapons that you can acquire over the course of the game. Really cool artwork here as well, specially made just for this guide. The next section of the guide showcases all the different armor, accessories, items, and materia that you can find on your journey through Final Fantasy VII. It also gives you some tips on some different crazy materia combos that you may not seek out on your own, but are definitely worth checking out. The final section focuses on enemy skills. It shows a map where to find them all and how to obtain them. And that brings us to the end of the Final Fantasy VII Ultimate Guide by Versus Books.
There
And that brings us to the end of this video. I just wanted to showcase the amazing work that the Tsunamods team is doing to help bring new life into a legendary classic, with all the HD textures, new character visuals, and of course the amazing Echo-7's voice mod. All of these make playing Final Fantasy VII in 2023 and beyond an exceptional experience for not only newcomers, but also series veterans. And I want to give one last thank you to the 7th Heaven and Tsunamods team and everyone else that helps keep the passion for Final Fantasy VII going strong. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any fond memories of Final Fantasy VII, or you think any of these mods look really cool, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and if you could give the video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. Also remember to ring that notification bell, and if you would like to donate directly to the channel, I have a PayPal link in the description below. I really appreciate all of your support, and remember, we're in the endgame now.